News, WAOW. Here's what's happening right now.
A ribbon cutting held today at Foundry on 3rd, bringing a redevelopment to the site of WASA's old mall. Plus, the Wisconsin chip mill becomes the first in the nation to be owned by loggers.
And clearing skies tonight will lead to some chilly early morning air tomorrow. We've got an update.
But first, a recreational center coordinator being charged with an alleged inappropriate relationship with a minor. The News at 10 starts right now.
We've got you covered. This is 9 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Kyle Pazarski here with you on this Thursday night. We start locally where the recreation coordinator at the Greenheck Turner Community Center is facing felony charges accused of sexually assaulting a minor. 23-year-old Bennett Schmitz was arrested earlier this week by police in a Milwaukee suburb. Court documents show that Schmitz faces a felony charge of sexual assault of a student by school staff, along with 2 felony charges of child enticement. In an email from the D.C. Everest School District to parents and obtained by 9 News, Superintendent Casey Nye says the charges are not related to any member of the DCE community, and Schmitz did not serve any teaching role for the district. Nye also says that Schmitz passed a criminal background check before he was hired. He has now been placed on leave and is due back in court for an initial appearance next week. Today in Wausau, Fond du Lac County DA Eric Toney made one of his first stops in his campaign for Wisconsin Attorney General. His announcement to seek office this week, setting up a rematch against current AG Democrat Josh Kaul. Toney was joined at the Marathon County Courthouse by Sheriff Chad Billup and District Attorney Kyle Mayo. The Republican candidate arguing that Kaul has failed to address crime and drug issues through his 7 years in office. Toney says he plans to work with the existing drug task force in Marathon County to address an increase of drug use in the area.
That's one of the areas that I mentioned. We're seeing fentanyl and methamphetamine pouring into our communities and making sure that we have an attorney general that's standing with our law enforcement, trying to choke that off at the supply. But we have more work to do, and we need an attorney general that's going to be serious about those issues, standing with our law enforcement and our prosecutors.
The last race between Toney and Kaul was in the 2022 election. The upcoming one will be held on November 3rd of 2026. Today, demolition work continued on the east wing of the White House. President Trump looking to move along swiftly with his plans to construct a new ballroom. Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters to, quote, trust the process.
The president has been incredibly transparent. I would reject any notion otherwise when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into and has talked with all.
And when asked today, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson said he doesn't mind what the president is doing to the building.
I personally don't have a problem with it. I've walked through the east part of the White House before. You just kind of walk through it. I know there's some offices there. It's not like it's sacrosanct. It's not like the White House has never been remodeled or updated or added to. I'm sure President Trump is doing a fabulous job.
The sections that have so far been demolished include the East Wing and the East Colonnade. Staying in Washington today, Senator Johnson proposed a bill which would pay essential federal employees during the government shutdown. The Senate voting on it, however, it did not pass. Many Democrats are aiming for a revised bill which would pay all federal employees.
I'm willing to add furloughed workers, and now it's just kind of down to the reduction in force, which I don't want to completely constrain the president, but I don't mind making sure that Congress has a say in this as well. So I'm actually quite hopeful.
3 Democrats crossed party lines to vote for Johnson's bill, yet it still didn't reach the required 60 votes. Now for our first check of the forecast. With that, we go to 9 Storm Track meteorologist Jackson Garlock. Hi, Jackson.
Hey, well, we had a decent bit of cloud cover yet again today. The good news is we're looking at clearing skies as we track into our Friday. So we're going to see some sunshine out there tomorrow. Unfortunately, that does mean clearing skies tonight, which will lead to a chilly start to tomorrow morning with falling temperatures overnight. Here's a look outside in Stevens Point. This is our Sentry camera. Right now, still in the low 40s across the Point area, upper 30s in central and northern Wisconsin, and temperatures are expected to quickly drop. As we mentioned, clear skies on the way. Clouds and radar view showing a little cloud layer still left over, but off to our west, significantly clearer and quieter conditions moving in as we track into our Friday. Now here's a look at our temperatures. Right now, as we mentioned, we're looking at low 40s, upper 30s. Already in the Northwoods, seeing some low 30s starting to form, so around freezing further north. And that is going to continue as we track into tomorrow. That temperature will continue to drop. By 3 a.m., we're looking at temperatures around freezing across central and southern Wisconsin. And for early tomorrow morning, starting off the day, all the way down in the 20s. So pretty cold start to Friday, but we do have some warmer weather in store for the weekend. We'll let you know how much coming up.
Jackson, thank you. New at 10, a man was arrested today in Marathon County for a 7th offense OWI. John Kodovich, a 76-year-old man from Phoenix, Arizona, was stopped this afternoon on County Highway R in Rib Mountain. The Wisconsin State Patrol says he was stopped for a speeding violation, with the troopers saying they smelled the odor of marijuana and witnessed signs of impairment. After a field sobriety test, the man was arrested and charged for that OWI, along with possession of THC and other drug paraphernalia. And a Wausau man who is facing felony murder charges was in court today. In August, Thomas Schrader allegedly struck a man during a fight, causing the victim to fall into a roadway near Wausau's 400 block. The incident left the victim unconscious before later dying as a result of their injuries. The court has not yet received a report on his competency exam, which was ordered on October 2nd. He has a status conference set for November 3rd and a competency hearing on the 14th. Well, a ribbon cutting and open house event was held today at the new Foundry on 3rd property in downtown Wausau. The mixed-use development stands at the site of the old Wausau Center Mall, which closed in April of 2021. It was a day 6 years in the making, with Terrence Wall of T-Wall Enterprises saying he's happy to be part of a downtown revival for the city.
We're going to have probably over 200 residents here. They'll be out eating at the restaurants and shopping at the shops downtown. So it's a real home run, I think, for the city.
The new building features 153 apartment units, starting at about $1,000 per month for a studio and up to $3,000 for a 3-bedroom unit. The building also has room for a business to go in on the first floor, including a gym that's also opening. Oil prices rose sharply today. The jump comes as traders worry about a squeeze on global supply after the U.S. imposed sanctions on 2 Russian oil companies. The sanctions also hit almost 3 dozen subsidiaries of the 2 companies. The sanctions are an effort to end the war in Ukraine. In a statement yesterday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to agree to an immediate ceasefire. September sales of existing homes increased by the highest pace in 7 months. That's according to the National Association of Realtors. Officials there say lower mortgage rates are largely to thank for higher home sales. Mortgage rates are now at the lowest level they've been all year. Up north, a camp hosted by the School District of Rhinelander is helping kids from kindergarten to 8th grade heal from loss, making sure they have a safe space to cope and connect. Camp George giving kids a chance to express their grief through art, nature, and shared experiences. The one-day event that was all about coming together. It's about supporting one another through shared experiences.
It's important to just teach those kids and help them understand that all of those responses are normal and how can they work through that and talk to people about those feelings.
Recreational activities help children express their emotions, from decorating t-shirts to breaking flower pots, symbolizing change and remembrance. They say having a camp like this in the Northwoods provides local kids in Rhinelander and surrounding areas to access grief support without having to travel far from home. Tillida is the new home of the first chip mill in the entire United States to be purchased by a logger co-op. 5 years ago, the Timber Professionals Cooperation Enterprises was founded with the goal of sustaining the timber industry and growing it for the future. Their purchase and grand opening of the mill is the first step to their new era. The cooperative is made up of loggers and truckers, and it was those groups that helped raise the $418,000 that went towards the purchase of the mill.
You can't put a dollar amount on what that means. After 5 years of thousands of hours, literally, in getting to this point, to see the folks here, and for me, you just can't put a price tag on it.
Leaders mentioned the difficulty in getting supporters with something that has never been done before. Abby Bank was one of their supporters that helped achieve their start. Looking live now at Toronto, that's where the World Series will head tomorrow, playing at the Rogers Center, all lit up in blue for the Blue Jays. They'll play host to the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers, and North Central Wisconsin will be represented on the big stage as Marshfield's own Dalton Varsho takes the field for the Blue Jays. Varsho played for the Marshfield Legion team and Marshfield High School. It was in 2017 when he signed to play baseball at UW-Milwaukee, but his hard work led him past D1 baseball and into the major leagues.
You would walk through a school, or if you walked through Pittsville, we go to fish fries at Paulie's Diner, and you wouldn't even know he's a major league player, and I think that's the coolest part about him.
The Varshos are in Toronto to cheer on their favorite Blue Jay. First pitch for Game 1 is set for 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll take a look at this photo showing some empty-looking shelves at Wausau's County Market. The store seeming to not be restocking many items due to a change in ownership that's coming within the next month. It was announced earlier this month when the store would close with a sale to Hy-Vee closing on November 11th. Hy-Vee says it will then be reopening on the 18th. Coming up here on the news at 10, a check-in at the state capitol with lawmakers demanding answers about how state officials investigate teachers who are accused of misconduct. Plus, the governor warning that Wisconsin could face a health care and hunger crisis if Congress doesn't act to reopen the government.
And we're tracking lots of sunshine in tomorrow's forecast, but could we see any rainfall outside this weekend? We've got the latest Future Track update coming up after the break.
Today at the state capitol, a hearing was held with lawmakers demanding answers about how state officials investigate teachers who are accused of misconduct. It was reported last week that from 2018 to 2023, Wisconsin's Department of Public Instruction investigated more than 200 Wisconsin teachers, aides, and substitutes, as well as administrators who were accused of sexual misconduct or grooming behaviors towards children. Lawmakers invited Secretary Underly to testify today, but she declined. DPI saying the state agency takes all allegations about sexual misconduct in schools very seriously. Meanwhile, the two Republicans running to be Wisconsin's next governor are among a growing list calling for the state superintendent to resign.
If there is not going to be reform that fixes these problems, then I think it's time for the governor to call on Jill Underly to either do her job or step aside. But I think the governor should act on this.
Tiffany's primary opponent, Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman, is also criticizing Underly for not testifying, saying, quote, "I reiterate my call for Superintendent Underly to resign immediately." Governor Tony Evers was in La Crosse today, warning that Wisconsin could face a health care and hunger crisis if Congress doesn't act soon. Evers met with local leaders, healthcare providers, and community organizations. He is urging federal lawmakers to extend Affordable Care Act premium tax credits and end the ongoing government shutdown. He says the lapse in federal funding could cause more than 270,000 Wisconsinites to lose their health insurance and force the state's food share program to run out of money within days.
It's going to have a downward spiral too. It's going to make people go to the emergency room for care that they would normally get by going to the doctor, and sooner or later the system is going to collapse under itself. It's go time to make sure that the legislators that they put into office hear this message.
Evers says he's also urged the U.S. Department of Agriculture to reallocate federal funds to keep SNAP benefits going, adding the state doesn't have the power to fill the gap on its own. It's something he says ties back to lack of action in Washington and to Wisconsin Representative Derek Van Orden.
Obviously, Representative Van Orden has made it very clear in his world that he thinks the Affordable Care Act should disappear, period.
Now, when asked for a response, Congressman Derek Van Orden said, quote, "Governor Evers is either stupid or deliberately misleading people. Democrats voted for Obamacare fully aware that it relied on federal subsidies to function. Since then, we have voted twice to extend additional temporary subsidies." Well, check this out. A wine store in Wisconsin got quite an unexpected visitor yesterday. Video from Lush Wine Bistro just north of La Crosse shows a deer crashing through the window. The deer jumped over the bar and then back over it again before leaving through a patio door. No people were hurt, and authorities say the animal did not appear to be injured.
Now, your 9 Storm Track weather forecast.
And Jackson's here now with that full forecast. Jackson, really kind of a lot of the same old fall weather we've been having the last few days.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a dreary pattern. Lots of cloud cover, breezy winds, rainfall. The good news is that should be changing, but tonight we are looking at clearing skies and pretty cold temperatures for this time of year. Most of us dropping well below freezing. A hard freeze across the state. Here's what we're tracking. Clearing skies outside tonight. A cold night, but thankfully milder ahead. We've been stuck here in the 40s the past couple of days, but we should jump back into the 50s tomorrow, and then mixed skies headed our way for this weekend. We'll see a mix between clouds and sunshine. There is also a small chance of rainfall, but it shouldn't put too much of a damper on your weekend plans. Let's take a look here at the clouds and radar view. You'll notice, well, some patchy clouds still across the state, but overall clearing skies. As we track into tomorrow, you can see much more clear conditions off to the west. So our Friday should have just a couple of fair weather clouds, otherwise nice blue skies, something we haven't seen in a few days. Our current temperatures across the area have already dropped down into the low 30s up in the Northwoods, low 40s across central and southern Wisconsin. And here's a look at our wind chill as we track forward. By the early morning hours after midnight, we'll already be feeling like the upper 20s. By early tomorrow morning, it's going to be feeling like the mid-20s. So make sure you have your winter coat out there tomorrow. Not going to be all too comfortable for the early morning hours. In fact, by 9 or 10 a.m., still feeling like the 30s across the state. So it's going to take a little bit for us to warm up. But with that sunshine, we should reach the 50s by the afternoon. Our future track clouds and radar not showing all too much outside for tonight at least. You can see the clear skies moving in during the overnight hours, leading to a bright and beautiful Friday. That sunshine lasting for most of the day. As we move into Friday night, though, we will see cloud cover return to the state. And we do want to mention what we're seeing on the map here, which is some rainfall headed our way for Saturday. Now, this is the GFS outlook for the rainfall headed our way this weekend, showing a decent chance of rain developing here across the Northwoods, both Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. Now, the GFS is showing a little bit more chances for rain than we've been seeing with some of our other weather models that we kind of get our information from. In fact, as we take a look here at our extended future track, this is running on a different weather forecasting system. You'll notice the rain misses most of north central Wisconsin as we track throughout our Saturday. So there is definitely a chance of rain outside this weekend. That would mainly be Saturday morning. However, there is also a chance that that system might potentially miss us. You really want to keep your eye on the radar as we track throughout our Saturday. And we'll have, of course, an update outside tomorrow. Right now, we're forecasting about a 30% chance of rain throughout this weekend. Numbers say we hit 47, definitely below average by about 5 degrees, typically sitting in the low 50s, something we'll return to this weekend. Our overnight temperature tonight, though, very cold, the low down to 28. Could be cooler in spots, especially up to the north or even south, where we clear off a little bit faster. Tonight out of 50, or tomorrow I might say up to 51. Northwest winds still up to about 15 miles per hour. Otherwise, our extended forecast brings us up to 54 on Saturday, all the way up to 58 for a nice end of the weekend on Sunday. We'll be turning breezy again early next week with some small rain chances.
We've got you covered. And now, sports.
The postseason now in full swing. The regional semifinal round going down across the state. And in Division I, 6 area teams here in central Wisconsin all fighting for that same sectional in hopes to keep their title hopes alive. We'll start right here with an 8-9 matchup. The Huskies traveling over to meet the Evergreens. Both squads trading sets early. Now we're in the third. Senior captain Olivia Profit coming clean down Broadway. She smashes the kill to give North a 2-1 lead. But it was evident it's win or go home season. Ella Eckhoff responding with one of her signature power punches to even the scale. But when the clock strikes midnight, it was the Huskies howling. Belkey slamming the exclamation point. North will get top-seeded River Falls on Saturday. In Stevens Point, it was conference foes colliding. The Panthers unbeaten in the Fieldhouse at home this season. Third set, Spash looking for another sweep. Olivia Koback getting the set from Katie Kornowski. She sends it over the wall for the kill. But Rapids not going down without a fight in this battle. Danica Rosenthal rising up for her commanding block. Red Raiders all smiles after that one. But Spash, your Valley champs for a reason. Nora Kruger as lethal as Freddie Kruger come Halloween night. Panthers sweep Rapids for a third time this season. Sets up a date with Marshfield. Over in Eau Claire, Wausau West meeting Memorial. First set action. Mercy Kelly sneaking one past a pair of blockers at the net. But the Abes respond. Addison Schrader sets it up for Kaylee Gunderson. Gunderson had 15 kills to lead the way tonight. Memorial in sweeping fashion. Hudson, the 2 seed, will await them this weekend. And over at Chi-High, the Cardinals welcomed in Wausau East. Barrett, Boisvert, and McKenna Wood combining for this big-time block at the net. But the Jacks, they just kept chopping. Natalie Worth finds Evelyn Tomey, and that right there would cut into the lead. This one back and forth, but when they needed it most, the Cards go to the playmaker. Wood, tough as an oak. Team high 9 kills tonight. Chi-High takes this one in a sweep. Amherst and Wittenberg, the 2 best teams in the CWC East. Falcons winners of their last 4 at home. Chargers winners of their last 4 on the road. Something's going to have to give here tonight. First set, Milena Grainquist going to bolt upward for this block. The Chargers taking an early lead and a lot of energy. Grainquist making her presence known. Back at it again with a kill. This one set up from Lily Metropoulos. Chargers with some electricity here. Amherst not lying down, though. Ivy Bullock going to get her hands on this one. The Falcons soared back to take it. We do not have an exact amount of sets into the newsroom. Lastly, another pair of conference rivals meeting in the playoffs. Auburndale over at Edgar. Wildcats trailing by a few here in the first set. That is until Nakeen Ellenbecker takes it into her own hands, executes the gorgeous assist from Brandy Halverson. These two very familiar with each other. 25 points, not enough to settle set 1. Chesney Nagel turns in her power for some finesse, drops it in for a 26-25 advantage. Everyone in the gym on their feet now. JC Schilling looking for that kill shot, but she's just off the mark. Auburndale would sneak away with set 1, but the home team settled in from there. Every set divided by 5 or less. Edgar holds off the Eagles, and they'll get Regis Saturday. We'll be right back.
And before we go, Jackson has a final check of our forecast.
Pretty cold night out there tonight, already getting pretty chilly, so if you are heading out late tonight, make sure to grab your winter coat. We're looking at 20s moving in towards the morning hours of Friday. Thankfully, the clear skies will lead to sunshine outside tomorrow, a few fair weather clouds, and a high near 51. Overnight from Friday into Saturday, another chilly night as we drop down to about freezing at 32. Saturday back up to 54, and then warmer than average on Sunday with a high of 58. We are tracking a chance of rain this weekend, so keep that in mind. We could see a couple of scattered showers, especially for those up north. Breezy for the early start of next week.
All right, thank you, Jackson. That does it for us here at 10. Jimmy Kimmel Live is up next.
Have a good night.